Hello, welcome everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Joseph Young. It has you as the host.
Yep, 1 second. Let me rename it here. This is
Are
actually
you
Matthew Lloyd.
are you the tech
Yes.
navigator?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
That makes sense. Okay, fine.
I'm
Now,
just
do
getting
I
everything set
have?
up here for you. And
Thank
people
you
are just
so
now
much.
starting to come in the room. Looks like I can see you okay. I can hear you okay.
Okay,
The video's a little blurry, but it's usable.
okay. That's what I couldn't. Can I be seen though?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, okay.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go
Um.
ahead and if you're good to go for now, I'm gonna go ahead and mute and go to the next room and make sure they're set too.
All right. So I'll just allow everyone in.
Yep, I've set it so everyone can just come in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ah, there you are. I can see you.
Hi, is that Matthew
Okay. Yep,
or
I
is
can
that
see you
Joseph?
okay. I can hear you. And I made you co-host, so you should be in control now.
All right. So I'm trying to do a screen share,
Yeah.
but I have my screen up, but it's not showing. Can you see another screen besides me?
I see your screen. I see your screen.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Okay, good.
Matthew, I lost my picture.
Hello, everyone. Good grand rising. Good morning. Thank you all for being present. And thank you for sharing your energy. We will get started in just a few moments. I want to give everyone, or most people at least, an opportunity to join us. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and that way we can go ahead and get started with our presentation for today. And As you see, the title of our presentation is What Happened to Critical Thinking? Let's talk about it. So in this workshop, in this very short workshop, it's more engaging. So it's a cooperative collaboration where everyone will have the opportunity to express themselves and share what their understanding of critical thinking is, and ways that we can redefine critical thinking, not only for our students, but for ourselves and for our community. So I am Latoya Robinson. I teach English and developmental English department and in the adult education program. I also teach social studies as well. And in my community work, I am a community organizer, I'm a cultural strategist, and race and equity consultant. So that's a little bit about me. So what we will be covering is, like I said, what critical thinking is. We will have a working definition for what critical thinking is, and I know many of us have our own understanding of what critical thinking is, and we teach it, we embed it into our lesson plan and our curriculum, and we teach it to our children. But we want to have for the purpose of this workshop and the short time that we have, I established one for us that I think will be a full, it's all encompassing of what we know. Not that I can read your mind, but it's all encompassing of what critical thinking is. So we'll discuss the importance of critical thinking in academe, the challenges that we face in critical thinking when we, as critical thinkers, what happens when we are expressing our critical thinking, and what happens when we're not critically thinking. So then we're going to go into an exercise where we will see in real time how socialization has really hindered our ability to critically think. And again, we will have dialogue around that, and we will discuss some strategies, tools, and principles to support the process. So who will be open? I see that everyone is on mute. Who would be open to sharing what their understanding of critical thinking is? What is your definition, your own working definition for critical thinking? Anyone? No? Okay, so can you all hear me? I want to know if I can be heard. That's a question that I did not ask in the beginning. A thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay, I can be heard. Thank you very much. Okay, so critical thinking is an essential internal system that all humans have for our need to be successful. So it's nothing that is separate from us. We already have it. We come here with that internal compass, knowing how to critically think. And we all need it for our foundational skills to solve everyday problems. And it's also a building block that we need for our learning. So critically thinking defined refers to the use of cognitive skills and or strategies that increase the probability of a desired outcome. So in order for us to get what we truly desire, we have to go through a series of questions and thinking beyond what we normally would think to have to bring about change, or to bring about what that desired result is. So as you share, and I have this really as a placeholder for me, so as you share, please state your name, because a lot of you all are, your video is not showing. So I want to be able to hear and know your, see, well, I can't see you, and know your name and who's speaking at the time. So why is critical, why is it important for us to engage and nurture critical thinking in the classroom? Why are we having this conversation? There's so much research, and there's a lot of studies done on how do we get our students to think more critically, to develop them to be these incredible people who are thinkers and innovators. Why is that important? No one's talking this morning. Is it too early? I understand. I don't do morning either.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Imari, and for that question, I don't know. I think to me, the whole bedrock of what it like a higher ed institution is supposed to nurture and is supposed to bring out critical thinking in their students.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question again?
Yeah, so are you joining by phone?
Yep.
Okay. So the question on the floor is, why is it important for us to engage and nurture critical thinking in the classroom?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So does that help? Because I mean, no answer is right or wrong. That's not the case. I want all of us to engage in this dialogue, because this is part of what the summit is about. And it's, we're going into a new academic year, and we have a lot of challenges. Everyone is in crisis mode. So we really have to start doing a lot of critical thinking to meet our own needs and the needs of our students. So thank you, Imari. You are on the right track in your response.
Yeah, I mean, and
you
also
want to finish it out?
It brings innovation. Like, it brings another way of thinking, like of in itself, critical thinking meaning is solving a problem.
Yes.
So it brings about a way for your students to re-look at a problem and solve it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know, those type of critical thinking atmospheres, and one, it has to be very open. So it can't be, you can't criticize those type of spaces for your students, because then they will actually shut off. And then with that, once you bring that type of atmosphere into your classroom for, to have those questions, like, then they're able to have those type of like thoughts of like, what's the purpose of this? What was the reasoning of this? Why it didn't work in the past? What's working now? And so all those type of questioning actually brings a point into to probably a better solution to things. So I really believe that critical thinking is very important. It should actually be a part of classes. It should be part of the classroom. We are all critical thinkers, even if you have to figure out what type of like shoe that you want to wear today. Like you're still critically thinking, or how are you going to get to work today? That's still critical thinking. And so for you to actually like not have that in an atmosphere where you're supposed to have those innovative like thoughts, and you're supposed to have those challenges, and then having, per se, an instructor to challenge you and an instructor to bring about, maybe, you know what, you can think about it this way. That's the whole point of higher ed. So I believe, we should actually have that. It's very important. And yeah, I think hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. So again, there is no right or wrong. This is really to invoke or to encourage, promote dialogue around this topic. As you said so eloquently, thank you so much for your response, Imari.
Mm-hmm.
We have all of this information around, and there are people written scholarly works on engaging critical thinking. And in this one, we're talking about what happened to it. So we know that it's there, and there's still all of this work around getting students to be more engaged, to be critical thinkers. So let's have that conversation. So thank you so much, Imari, for opening that up. Uh, so what are some of the ways that you all as professors and educators promote critical thinking with your students? How do you encourage it, and how do you personally demonstrate it? And I will model that. So my experience as an educator, teacher in the classroom, as Imari stated, it is important to have a safe environment for students to be okay with thinking. It is important for them to know that they can come inside of my classroom. I know that everyone doesn't do this, but it's okay for them to come inside of my classroom to make mistakes, to get answers wrong. I don't judge them for making wrong answers. I say it all the time. I would prefer you be wrong in the classroom because you know what not to do when you go outside. The way I demonstrate it is I allow them to correct me because I have already established that I'm the teacher and they are here for this experience of being educated. So I'm really imparting the information that they need to pull it out. So I'm just there to help them remember what they already know. So that's once that's established, I don't take heart to them not seeing me as a teacher, or I don't take it personal when there's a need for me to be corrected because I don't know everything. And they do, and I've never had an experience where they do it in a way that's disrespectful. They're always respectful because they know that I respect them. So that's one of the many ways that I promote it and demonstrate it. I want to hear from some of you all professors.
Hi, my name's Phil Ravita, teaching the music department,
Hi.
and I and what I've done with my students in the past and still do is I'll ask somebody to give an answer to a question, and it may be the answer may be correct or incorrect, but if it's an incorrect answer, I try to find the element of it that is correct. And I'll say, you gave a great answer, and the part I want to talk about is whatever. The part that is leading towards the desired result or answer. And then I'll ask another student to build on it. So I'll
Yeah.
validate what that student did and then ask another student, can you build on it? Who can build on this? What direction can we take this in? So
Mm-hmm.
nobody's ever told they're wrong. Nobody's ever judged for their answer. And they're given positive encouragement feedback. And it's more or less the culture of the classroom that I like that's positive and is safe and encourages learning.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. That's I like the again, it's a foundational tool, and what your strategy is you're setting building blocks. And when you use the building blocks, no one is ever wrong in their response. So that's thank you, Phil. I like that. What age group would we say that ask the most questions? What age group? What age group would we say that asks the most questions all the time, nonstop?
Middle school. What?
Yes,
Why is this? Why is that? Do you do
middle
Elementary.
school. Who else? What
Elementary.
age group?
Elementary.
Yes, elementary school. That's first through fifth grade. Will that be first through fifth grade? I'm not sure. But they ask questions all the time. And how do they always start their questions?
Why?
Yes. And why do you think they ask why?
Because they don't
know.
understand. They don't understand. They want a reason behind it.
Yes, they want to read.
They
They
don't
want
know.
more
No.
understanding. They want more understanding. They want to connect dots. They're gathering information. I say children are the best researchers. And when I really want to learn some stuff about myself that I don't want to look at for my own self, I just go around children, because children will tell you everything that you need to know. I mean, unabashedly, everything you need to know about yourself, a child will tell you, and they don't give you a thesis around it. They tell you in one sentence, complete, this is it. So, what happens when when children keep asking questions? They don't stop, they ask why. What do we do? And what do we say to them as they continue to ask these questions?
We get annoyed, but we keep answering this. We keep providing the answer over and over with a different answer, with a different reasoning about it.
Yeah, and why do we get annoyed?
Because it's like they're asking the same question sometimes in a different format versus in the same way. So then we try to provide them my thinking. This is just my thinking, is that you're just trying to answer it in a different format, but you're basically giving the same answer. You're not giving a concrete, because it depends, because you're really, trying to think outside the box. But this is just my thinking.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Who's speaking?
Oh, Jane.
Jane. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. There are many of us in the room, and I think people are still coming in. So yes, we do get annoyed because they're asking why, and they sense that annoyance. They feel that annoyance, and what happens is they're like, well, then they say, well, what did I do wrong, or what did I say wrong? Has that ever happened to children?
Yes.
Has it ever happened to us as adults?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at the lack of critical thinking. What does it look like? So I want to hear from you again. I've come up with just 4 points for the sake of the time that we have in this workshop. Lack of creativity, which actually connects to the stifled imagination, because the imagination is what is created in the consciousness. The creativity is what manifests outwardly. So just as Jane has eloquently spoken, we tell children, or we tell adults ourselves, even the conversations that we have with ourselves in our mind, we fear to think beyond our own scope of imagination because we don't want to be wrong.
What about self-esteem?
Aspects that you see that ends up as a result of lack of critically thinking.
What about self-esteem?
Self-esteem. Let's unpack that. Tell me more.
Their confidence and their thinking will go down if they think that they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to, just like, I forgot the other gentleman's name, is I like that tactic that I'll use is build upon it instead of saying try again.
Okay. So keep trying.
Yeah, keep trying or build upon what you just said. Mm-hmm. I never did that in the classroom. I'm going to do that this time.
Anyone else?
Some students just do not want to speak up at all for various reasons. Could be self-esteem. So it is up to the teacher, the instructor, to think of different ways to get more students involved in the questioning or the discussion process, rather than 1, 2, you know, the students who usually speak up. And there's various ways to try to do that.
Such as?
Can you unpack that?
Small groups, think, pair, share, lots of ways.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Jane and Donna. Someone else was speaking?
This is Raymond. I teach first year experience here at the college. One of the ways, how are you? One of the ways I try to get my students to engage is by presenting the material in a way that's relevant for them. One of the exercises I do at the very first day of class is I have the students introduce themselves, and I try to learn about who they are. And I literally take notes about what they say, because when they give those introductions, you kind of learn what their interests are. So when you're giving your examples through lecture, you can use some examples that the students can identify with that help them be more confident in answering questions or, you know, engaging in dialogue.
But sometimes, can I say something? Sorry, but sometimes I forgot my train of thought. Sometimes the relationship building, like you might ask a question, I like your idea, and I just lost my train of thought. But sometimes they might try to come out like there's something bothering them or they have something negative. And then it's hard to try to turn that into a positive. I lost my train of thought.
Jane, when it comes back, you can just place it in the chat box. I'm looking at the chat as well. So some people have been communicating. Thank you, Donna. She stated that relationship building, and yeah, relationship building is another way. It sounds like you were responding to Raymond's point of what he does in his classroom, Donna.
Yes, I was, yeah, but okay. I lost it. So if I come, I'll bring it back.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
We need to work on the relationship building as soon as your class begins. And various ways of doing that, such as what the gentleman just suggested is one way. So from there, you will gain more participation.
Thank you for that.
Donna, I have a question for Donna. How do you build trust?
You need to show passion for your subject, be interested in including everyone. Just those are the two that I can think of right now. So it's going to be very hard being outside of the classroom. I'm an elementary school teacher and doing it virtually. But I will try to have some great activities and just try my best. So it's going to be entirely different with a new set of students now that I have never seen. Hopefully they've seen me around the school, but anyway.
Can I add to that as well? I think another key element is that we allow students to see us as people. Not just, I mean, you know, we want them to respect us in our role as professor, teacher, but, you know, for them to allow them to get a little bit into our personal life. So what do I like? So one of the things I like is Superman. So in my background in my office, I actually have a Superman, you know, piece of art on a piece of canvas. So they can actually see me as a regular person who, yeah, I'm teaching this class and yeah, I'm giving you assignments and giving you a lecture, but I love Superman, and I'm going to wear my Superman t-shirt every once in a while for you to be able to see that I'm a real person so that we can maybe even connect in that way.
Very good idea. Very good.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much for your engagement. I much appreciate it.
So I would consider that as in like setting the atmosphere of your classroom. So beginning. So for that first day, you're setting those standards and you're setting those atmosphere so that, you know, they know from the beginning that these are mostly the requirements, but also this is a safe place. And then this is also a place for you to actually have those critical thinking, to develop your critical thinking skills. So I'll just consider that like what everyone else has said is setting the atmosphere.
And like the gentleman said, well, at the college level, have some slides showing yourself. Try to bring yourself into your classroom so your students will get to know you better.
Thank you. So now that we've established, that children who turn into adults are innately critical thinkers, let's look at where it happens to where that energy gets stifled. So what happens? Where's the challenge? Why is the lack of critical thinking set in our society? What is the conditioning? How do we get conditioned to stifle our critical thinking? How do we get conditioned to, I know that Jane spoke about self-esteem. Sometimes it's the student's esteem. How did it get to the point to where they do not feel that their questions are valid? Where did it first start? And also, let's look at what systems restrict or repress critical thinking, as in our own lives, in our own experiences as adults and educators.
Well, I'll speak. This is Adrienne Pugh. I think that one of the main issues is just time. The curriculum is so filled. There's so many things to do, not only academically, but there's so many events and activities and testing and additional things that must be done by the classroom teacher that there really is no time to allow for. You almost just have to give it out and, throw it out there. If they catch it, they catch it, There's not a whole lot of time to nurture the critical thinking. You can plan it in your lesson, and you can plan to implement it as best you can, but like I said, the time is short with so many other things that need to be done. So, we want to do more. And we are planning to do it, but it comes down to, and even now with distance learning, my PG County, they're saying, okay, active live instruction for 1 hour each period, in 2 days out of the week, we will have and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, 1 hour? 1 hour. You have 1 hour to do what? I mean, you almost just have to throw it out there and say, here it is.
Right.
You don't have time to say, okay, let's nurture this, the critical thinking, let's, do all these additional things, and let's do the socializing part of it. There's no time. To me, that's one of the biggest things is time. But that's why I'm here in this training, because I'm like, what can we do to try to keep it, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, it's like we still got to do it somehow, so what little tips and tricks can we grab and say, if I do nothing else, I'm going to do this particular thing. And I think from the last session I was in, and even now, I put in the survey for SurveyMonkey, I just have to focus on, and I do it, but just wouldn't have time to do it as well, is to ask why. Get them to ask why more. And one of the things I already do is I teach math, and I say, when you ask me a question, I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to ask you a question back. It's going to be like Jeopardy. You ask me a question, I will ask you a question back to help you navigate yourself to a closer understanding of what it's supposed to be. But again, you don't even always have time to do that. It's like, okay, you got to know it. I'm going to tell it to you. Let's keep moving. So I think that's my input about it.
Thank you for that, Adrienne. I see that Reginald, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Reginald.
Cinchi.
Cinchi?
Yes, Cinchi, yes.
Cinchi, okay. So Reginald has socialization, cultural heritage, hierarchy, delicious. This is heating up. I love it. Do you want to expound more on that? You don't have
Sure. So with socialization, we have a system that tells people what to think instead of actually teaching them how to think, right? So that's a huge problem. That's why we have so much racial issues in the country right now. So when you tell someone this is what you're supposed to think, about history, about groups of people, about immigration, etc., then they don't ever develop those skills of how to think, how to actually critically problem solve. And then when you have the idea of cultural heritage, right? So when you say you're going to tell a lie about heritage instead of telling the truth about heritage, then you also are teaching people how to think. So cultural heritage plays a role in that. And then hierarchy. So the idea of that I'm the professor, I'm the teacher, I am above you versus I'm also a human being, and I'm going to teach you how to eventually get to that level or to get to the place in society where you can also share ideas, right? Or the idea of teaching being this concept of learning as well. So the teacher is learning, the student is teaching, right? And so that teaches critical thinking when you have this situation where you have this exchange of ideas versus I'm telling you this is the lesson for today and that's it.
Right. Thank you so much. It sounds
No
like you
problem.
all are both, we're all on the same page, and we've established that the conditioning that we have on us, that has been placed on us as educators, comes from systems and institutional restrictions. So it sounds like there's something happening within the systems and within the institutions that is repressing our own critical thinking. Adrian spoke very strongly about not having enough time. And I know for myself, there's so much more that I want to share, I want to impart on my students, but we don't have the time. And then we talk about the resources. And then uh, Meltonia, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, Pollard, says it leads to a loss of personal freedom. This is all accurate. So we're going to go into an exercise now. We don't have much time, so I want to go on over into that. So we can really look at how we got to having this conversation. So this is the 9 dot exercise. So some of you may be familiar with this, and some of you may not be. And the instructions are really to just take a piece of paper and place 9 dots on your paper in this arrangement. And you are to connect all 9 dots with 4 straight lines without retracing. And we'll take a few moments to work this out, about 2 to 3 minutes.
I got it. I think I did.
Okay, who's speaking?
Oh, Jane, I think I got it.
Okay.
I just don't have access to the whiteboard, but I can show you.
Yes, please let us see.
I would start all the way on your left or your right, and go all the way across, and then go down, and then go all the way to the other opposite side, then go in the middle of that dot, go all the way in the outside, and then go straight up.
Okay, so I'm a visual learner. I know you said you don't have access to the video.
Oh, I don't know how to show you if I have access to the white to drawing on here. Is there a way for me to draw on here?
Did you write it on a piece of paper?
No, I can put it on it. No, I just did it in my head.
Oh, yeah. Can you write it? Can you write it on a piece of paper and then show us?
Yeah, let me see. Yeah.
Yeah, just get a simple piece of paper, notebook paper, printer paper, whatever, a pen, and you draw the 9 dots in this arrangement. Meltonia, would you like to share?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to upload the file right now.
Okay.
is that Jane who can do it?
Yeah,
If she can turn her video on. Thank you, Jane.
Okay. So here's what it looks like.
Yeah, but all of the 9 dots are not connected.
Yeah, they're connected.
I can't see.
They're connected.
With 4 lines, count your lines?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
4 lines.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
4
Good
lines.
try. Good try.
Never mind.
I've
Oh,
seen this
Tanya?
before.
Yeah, I have it. Hold on. I'm trying to
Okay.
make sure I can. Didn't I send it? Okay.
Latoya, how would you use this as an exercise? An engagement piece or?
We could, there are a multitude of ways, and we can talk about that. We probably have to have that because that's more of a deeper conversation. Because I'm looking at the time and there's more to the process that I want to get to. So I'll have my contact information and we can discuss it offline.
Can you show us how to do it?
So what I'm going to do is demonstrate it for you. Valerie has it in the big background, so it's nice and fancy. I just have a pen and a piece of paper. So for those of you, some of you got it and some of you didn't. So you're going to go draw the 1 line out and you come back in and you go up. That's my 2nd line. This is my 4th line. And this is my 3rd line, and this is my 4th line. So it may look better than that. I'm drawing this from where I can't actually see it, but it will give that visual.
Excuse
and
me,
if you see Valerie's screen, she has it demonstrated well for you. So as I went inside of the chat rooms, I saw that a lot of people talked about a box. Where was the box? Where did you see a box?
The shape, I saw it in the shape that the circles were in, or the dots were in.
Okay, but where is but it's not a box, it's an arrangement of dots.
Right.
Right, but it goes back to what Reginald was saying, is that we're conditioned to think a certain way.
Yes.
And this is giving us an idea of how to think outside of the box and find the solutions that are not in a traditional way. We are conditioned. We're conditioned and socialized to, as he said, follow rules and to fall in place and to do things in a certain way. And we have to think beyond that. And that's the only way that you solve this problem, is to not see the box. And our first instinct is to see the box.
Yes. Is that who's speaking?
This is Tanya Up the Grove Coleman.
Okay, Tanya, thank you so much. Because most people, and when I first did this years ago, in a training, I saw a box. And when we're inside of institutions, we see boxes. We have boxes within our own mindset. We have boxes when we are developing curriculum. We have boxes inside of the institutions. And let's not even talk about those of us who write grants. All those boxes that we have to check. So consider this is how our ability to critically think gets stifled, because we're thinking inside of a box. So I want to share with you, because I don't have much more time to go into that, but I do want to share this quote. The most fundamental attack on freedom, because someone spoke about freedom earlier, the loss of freedom in the classroom. The most fundamental attack on freedom is the attack on critical thinking skills. Comments display our universal failure to teach and value critical thinking, leaving the possibility open that both everything and nothing could be true. And this goes back to the way that Raymond and Philip were sharing how they use their information. And Donna also talked about it in relationship building. Nothing is true and everything is true all at the same time. And like Reginald talked about having our, representing our cultural heritage, and because it helps us to reclaim and stand in our humanity. Consider how the boxes the elusive boxes, which is really a perception of our own reality. And we project that onto our students because we think in a box and then we teach in boxes. So I share this with you, strategies and tips, because the only thing that we can really do to change is to change our own way of thinking, our own perspective, our own perceptions. Always know that whatever was created inside of an institution was never meant to change. And our own individual way of doing it is not going to change inside of an institution. What we will have to do is go outside of this arrangement. Consider this to be the institution, the 9 dots to be the institution. And as we go out, we get people who think like we do and who want to model this behavior and bring those concepts and organize outside to bring that back in to the establishment. So that's where we find common ground. That's where we educate to agitate, educating our own selves to shift the mindset of the future generations, because they're the ones that's going to be making the decisions. And many of us see what they result into being. And we also have to be mindful of when we are going into change, we cannot do it alone. We have to organize with the people that have the same mindset that we have and have the same vision that we have. And then we can shift power. Because as a result, we know what has happened to our forefathers and our foremothers, what has happened to them in this country, in this society, when we have gone in to shift institutions. And the only time that change has ever happened has been picketing, boycotting, protesting, and dying. So in order to really shift power, in order to really get to a place where we can really impart and encourage and cultivate in a classroom environment and really a classroom community inside the building and beyond, is to take care of ourselves first, show up in our own authentic selves and challenge our own personal fears, and dismantle the judgments and biases which creates the boxes in our own consciousness. Because we have to remember, we're imparting that onto our students. Okay, people are still here. And I know forgive me, I have gone way over. And I know you have to get to your next session, so do I. So this is my contact information. And so I have a Google web page. So I know that Donna asked a question. So if you want to have a deeper dialogue, you can send me a message through my Google website or you can send me an email. Either one works fine. Were there any comments, suggestions, questions before we close out?
Thanks for a great session.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.